Yes, I believe all Muslims around the world, let me finish. All Muslims around the world should unite and work together against the greater harm, which is the West, liberalism, the far right.
The Prophet said Allah's curse is upon the one who shelters an innovator.
Yeah.
Now, what about if you want to work with an innovator?
Yeah.
Is that not worse?
Common knowledge that strength is found in numbers. Yeah. So what's your solution?
You want to work with the people who negate Allah's attributes. You want to work with the people who call out to graves. You want to work with the people who do bid'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's curse is descending upon his innovator, but you want to work with him.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'ad, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of Roast Dawahman. As always, we've got Dawahman. Assalamu alaikum, Dawahman.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Do you find it weird when people call you Dawahman instead of Imran? Especially people you know, like personally.
I used to, but it became very normal now.
Would you prefer Imran or Dawahman?
I prefer Imran.
Okay, so I'll call you Dawahman.
Okay.
So let's get straight into it.
Go ahead.
I've seen a lot of your videos online. Some of them I'm in. And I've noticed that you seem hell-bent on separating Muslims. You want to get one Muslim, another Muslim, and just separate them. Families, friends, whatever it might be. You seem to be calling to disunity more than you call to unity. So I wanted to ask, why is that? Why is it? What do you gain? What does the Ummah gain by disuniting? Why is it that you are so keen on disuniting the Muslim Ummah when we have a situation around the world where the Ummah is in severe humiliation? We're getting oppressed left, right and center. You've got Muslims in China, you've got Muslims in Palestine, Muslims in Syria, Muslims in Kashmir, Muslims all around the world, even in the UK, in the West, and in America, Canada, where Muslims are being oppressed, sisters are being attacked. It's normal now. It's normalized for Muslims to be oppressed. And in a time where the Ummah needs to be united, we need to be working together against the problem, you wish to make us weaker by dividing us. What do you have to say for yourself?
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. First and foremost, I'm not for the notion of disuniting the Muslims.
So you don't disunite the Muslims?
What I'm for is the notion of the people of the Sunnah not uniting with the people of innovation. And it's not something I got for myself. It's something that I got from my Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions, and the Salaf al-Salih who followed after, and the A'imma that are upon the methodology of those companions until today, which we can talk about after. But what I would like to address, ask you as a question, to show you that there is a hypocrisy in the people with regards to this notion of unity.
Okay.
Would you unite with all Muslims?
Do you want to book you in with the local ear doctor? Because I clearly said yes. I believe that unity. Sorry, not that I believe unity is a good thing, but unity. My claim, the claim of the people I represent, is that unity is a good thing. So, yes, I believe all Muslims around the world. Let me finish. All Muslims around the world should unite and work together against the greater harm, which is the West, liberalism, the far right.
So would you unite with ISIS?
Would I unite with ISIS?
Would you unite with ISIS?
Damn, bro. No, I wouldn't.
Why not? They're Muslims.
Yeah, no, but they're not good Muslims.
What makes them bad?
They kill people innocently.
What's their problem though? What's the issue?
They're murderers.
No, but is it just that they're murderers? Is it just that they do major sins?
Yeah, I mean, they're Khawarij, innit?
They're Khawarij. So
they're deviated.
They are deviated from what?
From the straight path, from Ahl Sunnah.
From the Sunnah of the Prophet.
Yeah.
So you won't unite with them because they're innovators.
But more so because of the fact that they murder, which is, if I unite with them, then I'm going to be seen as a villain as well.
But why do they murder?
Because they believe that if you commit a major sin, you are now non-Muslim. So it's part of their deen to murder. Their belief is to murder.
So they murder based upon their innovated belief, upon their bid'ah.
Yeah.
They murder based on their bid'ah.
Yeah.
So it's not the murdering that makes them dangerous. It's the innovation that led them to murder which makes them dangerous.
No, but if you got someone who's celebrating the Prophet's birthday, for me, I don't see that as being dangerous, because that doesn't, like, if I want to... Like politically.
Stop dancing around the question. We'll go to everything step by step. My question is very clear to you. Would you disunite with them?
Hold up. I'm supposed to be grilling you, brother.
Just answer the question. Would you disunite with them based on their innovation, yes or no?
I would with ISIS, yes.
With ISIS, okay.
Yes, because the harm is greater.
So what's your yardstick where you highlight and you from which you ascertain that this person's innovation creates a greater harm than this person? What have you used to differentiate? What have you used to differentiate between what person's innovation is worse than another person's innovation? How have you come to the conclusion that the Khawarij's innovation is worse than the innovation of the Shia, or the Khawarij ISIS innovation is worse than the innovation of the Ash'ara? How have you come to this conclusion?
Because
What have you used?
everyone recognizes non-Muslims and Muslims alike.
So if everyone recognized, for example, if we lived in a time where everyone recognized a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be upon misguidance, would you now then side with the people against that prophet?
So nonsensical, theoretical
No, it's not theoretical,
argument.
because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, رَأَيْتُ النَّبِيَّ وَمَعَهُ الرَّهَطُ وَالنَّبِيُّ وَلَيْسَ وَمَعَهُ الرَّجُلُ أو رجلان والنبي ليس معه أحد أو كما قال. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I saw the nations were presented to him, and he saw a messenger who had a rahat with him, which is from 3 to 9 people.
That's one from the
a
past.
A messenger that had 1 or 2. A messenger that didn't have a prophet, that didn't have any followers whatsoever. So that prophet who didn't have any followers, was he truthful? Was he upon truth, or was he upon falsehood?
Oh, you mean in the past?
Yeah, because I'm saying...
I thought you meant if a future prophet comes and everyone in the world disbelieves in them.
No, of course a future prophet can't come, but the point I'm making is that just because everyone says to you you're wrong, doesn't mean. Because you know Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, أنت الجماعة ولو كنت وحده. You will be the Jama'ah even if you're alone on that one day. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you follow the majority of people on earth, they will misguide you from the straight path. Right? So you cannot use the people, the number of people. You cannot scale the truth based on what people think.
Okay, I'll tell you why I wouldn't unite with them, because they weaken Islam. Number one, they weaken us by making the non-Muslims around the world who we're living with in close proximity to, they make them more hostile towards us because they think, you know what, we're all like that. And number two, they attack us directly. The Muslims in Syria are being attacked by ISIS, you know, in Iraq, in Iran, all these countries, or wherever ISIS is that they're attacking Muslims. That weakens us. And also the issue of the fact that now the whole ummah is seen as villains, and then we then get attacked. So they weaken the Muslims. Whereas someone, for example, like you said, you know, Shia or Brelvi.
Do they not weaken Islam by remember they're the ones who believe that the Qur'an is not preserved. The arguments that the Orientalists use today to be able to question the Qur'an came from where? These Shias. When it comes to the Orientalists who attack the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where did they get most of their arguments from? From the Ash'ara and the Mu'tazila, who don't believe in the ahadith ahad. They don't take ahadith ahad in i'tiqad. So then they take a lot of their arguments and then they use them against the Muslims.
So are you trying to say we should unite with ISIS?
I'm not saying you should unite with ISIS.
Are you sure?
No, but what I'm going to show you is that you're inconsistent. Alhamdulillah, we're consistent because we're totally against ISIS. And we've been at the forefront campaigning against them. But my point is that we don't unite with anyone of innovation. But these people who you're representing, they pick and choose who they want to unite in different times, different places. And they're not using the religion to scale. They're not using the religion to scale what makes this person's innovation worse than this person. He will work with this Ash'ari, but he will not work with this ISIS guy. If it would be in your interest, if all you cared about was unity, to join these people, but you won't join them because you believe that there is some innovation that they do, and you believe their innovation is resulting in a greater harm. Well, then what makes his innovation worse than his innovation? What makes his innovation worse than his innovation?
Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to, you know, do some inter-community, you know, things and like get closer to non-Muslims in order to be able to help the communities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And ISIS, the things that they do push them further away. Do you understand? Whereas the things that the Brelvis do, or things that, you know, celebrating Prophet's birthday, or these other innovations, you know, worshipping graves or whatever it might be, they don't affect our relationship with them in terms of politically. So therefore, it doesn't harm us as much.
That word, what you said, politically. So then that's the yardstick by what they measure who they're going to unite with and who they won't unite with.
So what's your yardstick to measure
The
who you
Qur'an
unite
and the
with?
Sunnah and the understanding of the Salaf al-Salih.
Yes, so is this.
No, that's incorrect. Because I'll give you another group of Muslims that they would never want to unite with.
Go on.
And rather they are probably more hostile to us than we are to them. Than that group is to them. I give it away.
Who?
Us.
Who's us?
Salafis. These same people who call for unity around the world,
Mm-hmm.
they are two groups. They don't unite with ISIS.
They unite with balanced Salafis.
They don't.
They've said it themselves. We don't mind balanced Salafis.
So before you go on, I just want to make sure, because we've mentioned a few things, that I want to make sure that we tie the loose ends together. The first thing I want people to understand is that a balanced Salafi does not would not advocate working with people of innovation, and they advocate with disassociating from people of innovation, okay, and boycotting the people of innovation, and only uniting with people who are upon the methodology of the Salaf al-Salih. Number one, as I demonstrated from the Imams, Imam Malik, the likes themselves. The second thing that I want to mention here is that it's very important to understand the reason why, like you couldn't even say at the beginning that the reason why the Khawarij is a problem is because of the innovation. You couldn't even say it, because that's not the yardstick of the people you represent. The yardstick is just politics. You see, if you ask me why don't you work with ISIS, I tell you because they're innovators. If you tell me, oh, they kill, I say, yeah, they kill because of the innovation. But these innovators also kill. They kill the hearts. They kill the hearts. They destroy the hearts. They destroy the hearts. Do you understand? So innovation is a disease that attacks the heart. That heart is destroyed. Sometimes it results in you killing others, which is bad. That's what the Khawarij do. But also, it can kill your heart. It can kill that person's heart. ختم الله على قلوبهم. Allah places a seal over their hearts. وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. There's a seal on their eye, on their hearts, their eyes, their ears. So if you listen to that's why some of the Salaf, such as Fudhool ibn Iyadh, would say, don't even look at the people of innovation. They used to prohibit even looking at them. Why? Because he said it can inherit inside.
Do you think that's a bit OTT, a bit over the top?
Not at all.
Why?
Because if you're looking at him, you're in his presence, which means you're listening to him now. You're in his presence to hear him. If you're looking at him, you're in close proximity such that you can now hear what he says. Are you allowed to look at women?
No.
Why?
Because it could lead to
Zina.
zina.
So you don't look at people of innovation because it could lead to bid'ah. You're not even allowed to look at them.
Doesn't mean I can't look at alcohol. I can't look at a bank that's got haram in it. Doesn't mean I can't look at anything haram.
You shouldn't look at those things because it could put something in your heart towards them. But that's not the same as, we have a specific text for zina, and we also have athar from the immat of salaf.
Okay, let me present something to you
now,
which
but
is
I want
greater.
That to be clear that your yardstick is politics and ours is text.
No, I understand, and I, to be honest, actually agree with you that it is a bit hypocritical. And on this particular point, you are more consistent from the angle that you disunite from ISIS and you disunite from everyone else for the same reason, that they're upon innovation.
And that's why Ayub al-Sakhtiyani, he's got a profound statement. He said, Ahl Bid'ah, he said they're all Khawarij. Ahl Bid'ah are all Khawarij.
Because they're khuruj from
He
Sunnah.
said, يختلفون في الأسماء. They differ in their names. Some call themselves Diobandi, some Barelvi, some Sufi, some Ikhwani, some Shi'i, some
Are you saying that all Barelvis, Sufis, Diobandis are all Khawarij?
I'm telling you what Ayub al-Sakhtiyani said.
So he named them by name.
Ayub al-Sakhtiyani, look what he said. He said all of Ahl Bid'ah are Khawarij. That's his statement.
Okay.
Are they Ahl Bid'ah? Then according to his statement, not me. Blame him.
But you're applying the label Bid'ah onto them.
I'm just telling you what the Imam said.
Okay.
I'm telling you what the Imam said. I was told to follow.
Yeah.
Follow the immat of Salaf. That's what the Prophet said.
He left it general. He left it general.
Exactly.
And you specified
when you leave it general, then that's it. When you leave something general, it encompasses everything.
Okay.
So he said, Ahl Bid'ah are all Khawarij. يختلفون في الأسماء. They differ in their names. ويجتمعون. They all come together with the sayf, the sword. And it's true. Wherever you find Ahl Bid'ah, you find that no matter how soft and sweet they seem to be, if push comes to shove, they will be ready to kill. Ikhwan al-Muslimin became famous for their assassinations, for their killings. This same political group that advocates this ideology of unity, look into their history. They are known for assassinations, political assassinations. Okay, everyone knows that a nice sweet Sufi guy is only nice up until you question his beliefs. Then he suddenly becomes very what?
Gangster.
Yeah, for lack of a better term. Of course, not all of them, but this is common features for them. Does that make sense? So Al Bid'ati wal Ahwa, look, they look at the way the Salaf, they said they're all Khawarij. So if you disunite from one, disunite from all of them.
Okay.
And sorry, the Shia, do they not do takfir? And no, 1 second. Sorry about this, very important to mention, okay? The Khawarij, you said they do takfir on what?
Major sins.
Major sins, right?
Yeah.
Major sins, right?
Yeah.
Ahlul Bidati al-Ahwa. How many of the different groups do takfir? The Shia do takfir on us, but you still want to unite with them. The Mutakallimin do takfir on us. They call us Mujassima. And they do takfir on us.
The issue wasn't that they do takfir.
No,
It's that they don't kill.
Say that again?
The issue wasn't that they
What do you mean
takfir.
they don't
The issue
kill?
is that
What
they
do you
kill.
mean they don't kill? Have you seen what they do in Pakistan? You've seen what the Sufis do in Pakistan? The way that they murder? Have you seen what the Shias do? Hassan al-Hudayr was blown up by the Shias. Have you not seen what they do in Iran? Have you not seen the Shia groups, the way that they're slaughtering and killing, spilling the blood of the Muslims? Are they not Alawi Shias? The ones who are destroying brothers and sisters here?
Okay, let's move on from this point.
No, but do you concede to the fact that this is an inconsistency?
No, I agree, but that just because they're inconsistent doesn't mean that they're wrong. That could be a deficiency in them and not their belief.
No.
But let's get on to text. Let's go to the text now. This is observable. This is like a science experiment.
No.
Okay, they're consistent and they're not. Therefore, they're wrong. Therefore, they're right.
Because consistency is a yardstick for truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, had this Qur'an been from anyone else other than Allah, لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا.
But just because, for example, a Muslim isn't consistent, sometimes he sins, sometimes he doesn't. That doesn't mean the message Islam is incorrect.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say to you is that it might be the case that they're not consistent in this particular issue. Might be because of a worldly reason.
No,
might be because
human being may be inconsistent, but his belief can't be.
That's what I'm trying to say. So
But
let's come to the text now.
But this is a belief.
But let's come to the text.
No, but there's no. But why would you want to come to the text? Because what you're gonna try and do now is you're gonna try and bend the text around this corrupted belief. They believed something before they came to the text. They believe that we can unite with the people of innovation, and I've just shown you it's inconsistent. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used consistency as a proof for truth. Allah said, had this Qur'an been from anyone else other than Allah, لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. You would have found in it a lot of inconsistencies. Muhammad Amir San'ani rahimahullah ta'ala said, this is a proof for what? For truth. Anytime you find inconsistency, you know it's false. Anytime you find it's truth, anytime you find consistency, you know it's true. And he said, this is something that Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah is known for. Everywhere you go, different times, different places, different generations, different cultures, different languages, people who never met each other, but they claim to be Sunni, they claim to be Salafi, ala manhaj Salaf. They always say the same thing. They never spoke, they don't even speak the same language, yet they're saying the exact same thing. He said that consistency is a sign for proof, because Allah used consistency as a sign for proof for his Qur'an to be true. So Imam Muhammad Amin San'ani, he applied it there. And now you're going to try and bring the text,
what
which
I'm trying to say to you,
I'll allow you to do.
No, but
it's important
I
to
think
know.
you misunderstood what I'm saying. What I'm saying is consistency which is perceived. So for example, a non-Muslim looking at Islam will say, they say don't even kill a tree. But then I see Muslims blowing themselves up and committing mass murders with a knife. That's inconsistent. Therefore, just because you see inconsistency doesn't mean that the thing itself is inconsistent. The people doing it might be inconsistent.
No, 1 second.
You understand?
The Khawarij who mentioned this belief.
Yeah.
It's very easy for us. We say they are not they are not from mainstream Islam, or even if whether mainstream Islam or not doesn't make a difference. But they are not following the text. They are not following the text. Their belief is not consistent with the text. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Their belief is it's permissible to blow people up. We say their belief is not consistent with the text. You've now mentioned a belief. I've also told you how it's not consistent with the text. I've shown you how.
So now let me show you how it is consistent with the text.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll let you do it, but I want to ask you a question.
Go for it.
Did they have this belief before they went to the text, or went to the text after they formulated the belief?
I would have to ask them to find out. I'm not sure.
People believe something first based on political. You have to understand where these theories came from. They came from Hassan al-Banna. They came from Sayyid Qutb. They came from these Ikhwanis who were politicians. They were not scholars. They were politicians. Hassan al-Banna was a politician. He used to go to cafes and he used to try and incite people, unite people towards what? Political revolution. And over the years, people, when they bought into this political movement, they started to go to the text and try to formulate around the text. They tried to take the text and make it bend around their meaning. And that's what Ibn Taymiyyah said they do. يَعْتَقِدُونَ ثُمَّ يَسْتَدِلُّونَ. They believe something and then they try to find evidence. Whereas Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah يَسْتَدِلُّونَ. They go to the evidence first. ثُمَّ يَعْتَقِدُونَ. Then they believe.
So, but I got you. I looked this up already. You're not going to trick me. You're not going to fool me, pull wool over my eyes. The scholars, they say that the rope of Allah here refers to the Qur'an. Now, every Muslim, whether he's Brahmi, Dawahman, whether he's Ikhwani, whether he's... everyone holds on to the... I was about to say Shia, they've got their own Qur'an. everyone holds on to the Qur'an
But why are you taking them out of it?
because they don't even accept that the Qur'an is.
But don't the Khawarij hold on to the Quran?
No, but the scholars say that
Do the Khawarij
Shia.
hold on to the Quran?
Yeah, they do.
So then why? So then this verse, according to you, the way you've interpreted it, is against you.
Damn, bruh.
Do you understand?
Yeah,
Why would you not take the Khawarij here?
because it harms
No.
me
don't.
politically.
But why? Right, that's really the truth. That's really the truth. It's true. Barakallah fiqh for admitting it. But what would they say now?
You know, you're not meant to trap me like that. I'm meant to trap you like that. This is not how this show is supposed to go.
The reason is because they will say the Khawarij don't hold on to the Quran properly.
Yeah, the Khawarij, they don't hold on to the Quran properly. That's my
And
argument.
the reason you took the Shia out is because they don't.
They don't even accept the Quran.
Many of them, right? So then the question is, did the Ash'aris hold on to the Quran properly?
Not fully, but better.
When it comes to the
than-
Quran, akhi, how much of the ayat of the Quran are talking about Allah's names and His attributes? How many ayat and وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَهُوَ الْعَلِيمُ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيًّا كَبِيرًا وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا خَبِيرًا
Yeah.
وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا.
Mm.
How many Allah's names and attributes, they negate them? The Mutakallimin, Asha'ira, Mu'tazila, the Jahmiya, the Maturidiyya, they have different nuances amongst themselves, but they reject them. Hatta the Asha'ira say that the Quran is what? That which we have in the Mus'haf is the speech of Jibreel. It's not even the speech of Allah. Do you believe the Quran is the speech of Allah?
Yes, I do.
So when you're holding on to the Quran, you're holding on to believing the speech of Allah. When they're holding on to the Quran, they believe what? It's the speech of Jibreel. The Mu'tazila, they believe what? It's the speech that comes from a tree. The tree that's...
1 second, yeah.
What I want you to really understand here
Yeah.
is that it's not as simple as holding on to the Quran.
Yeah.
Rather, what is it? Holding on to the Quran the way it's supposed to be
Hold on to.
held on to. That's why there's an ayah where Allah said, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابِ, the ones who they were given the book, يَتْلُونَهُ, they recite it, حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ, the way it deserves to be recited. How does it deserve to be recited? Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, who was the most knowledgeable when it came to the Quran, who said that he said, if there was anyone who knew the Quran more than me, if he knew, he said, I know every ayah, where it came down, when it came down, who it came down. If I knew anyone more knowledgeable than me in the book of Allah, I would have gotten to my writing beast and I would have gone to him. Okay? He explained this ayah. He explained it. He said, to recite the Quran the way it deserves to be recited is to make halal what Allah made halal, and to make haram what Allah made haram, and to not divert the meanings, the words from its places, and to not interpret the Quran ala ghayri ta'wilihi, and to not interpret the Quran on an interpretation that was not intended. For that reason, if you want to hold on to the Quran, you must also hold on to the thing that explains the Quran. لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ. Allah said that وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ ذِكْرًا, we sent upon you this reminder, لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, so you can clarify its meaning to the people. The Prophet was sent the Quran so that he can explain the Quran. So now you need what?
The understanding of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And that's why many of the companions and the Salaf who you mentioned said that the rope of Allah is the Quran. Many of them also said it's the Sunnah, because the Quran cannot be without the Sunnah, and the Sunnah cannot be without the Quran, because the Sunnah explains the Quran.
Even in the Quran, we're told to follow the Sunnah.
We're told to follow the Sunnah.
So holding on to the Quran is to hold on to the Sunnah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Now, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, is it just his path?
This is the path of him and the companions.
Him and the companions. Because in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي وَسُنَّةِ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ الْمَهْدِينَ عَدُّوا عَلَيْهَا بِالنَّوَاجِدِ. Upon you is my Sunnah, hold on to it, and the Sunnah of my four rightly guided Khulafa. He said, hold on to it. He made the two paths one path. It's the same path. And so Allah said, فَإِنْ آمَنُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا أَمَنْتُمْ بِهِ فَقَدْ اهْتَدَوْا. If they believe they were you and those who are with you believe Muhammad, then they will be guided. Because it's not just the Prophet's path. It's the path of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. So then now what do you need? You need the Quran, the Sunnah, and?
The understanding of the companions.
Oh, question mark. Have you ever met a companion?
No, I haven't.
How did you get their understanding?
Through books and hadith and
Which books?
books of scholars.
Which scholars?
Scholars of hadith
What generation?
from the Salaf.
Ooh, wow. Wow.
Imam Bukhari, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Ahmed, Imam
Salaf.
Malik.
Salaf.
Yeah.
They recorded it in their books.
Yeah.
You could not have got what the companions were upon if it wasn't for the Salaf.
Yeah.
So now you need to follow the Salaf. So now you cannot hold on to the book of Allah. You can hold on to the rope of Allah without following the Salaf.
Okay.
Then upon that, Allah said, don't disunite.
Okay. No, Imran. Billah alayk. Yeah. That's all well and good. Put that to the side for now. Yeah. Put that to the side. That's all good theoretically. But billah alayk, look, you got Muslims dying around the world. Yeah. And here even in the UK, yeah, they're starting to pass laws, counter-terrorism laws that are infringing upon the rights that parents have over their children. Children are being taken away from their parents, right? Children are being taken away from their parents and put into houses, given to in foster homes where they got non-Muslim families now. This is the situation that we're in. Things are a bit different now. Yeah, I agree in the ideal situation and this, that. But we have to look at the situation that we're in here in the West. Yeah, you got laws being passed, things are being made harder and harder for Muslims. In France, they banned the niqab. Who knows what they're going to say next? In America, it's very difficult. Even at the airport, they give you problems, and people are locked up for false charges of whatever they want. This is our situation. Yeah, this is a time where we need strength, and it's common knowledge that strength is found in numbers. Yeah, me disuniting with someone over something petty, or we might have a disagreement over, and not uniting against the common. So look, for example, if I go to Parliament myself and say, "Oh look, this is an issue," all right, cool, we'll take it. File a complaint, run it there, and we'll address it when it comes. But now, if 100 imams from all over the country, no matter where they're from, who they are, what belief they might have, everyone comes together now and says, guys, we need to address something. We're not happy with these laws. You live in this country. I live in this country. So don't you think we should work together to better the way we live in this country, to better the future for our children in this country? Don't you think that's something we should work towards? And a realistic, practical application is to work together. That look, okay, cool, you might celebrate the Prophet's birthday. I disagree with you. But I'll put it to the side. Why? Because there's a greater problem here. There's a greater issue here, which is the Muslim suffering around the world. And the cause of that is the West. And we need to unite to fight the West. Then after that, once we've done that, once we've got into power, once we've, sorted out the problems the Muslims have, then we can have these theoretical discussions on theology and, differences, niche differences and stuff like that. But for now, let's put that to the side, work towards the greater cause, and afterwards we can discuss these minor issues, akhi. Don't billah alayk. Does that not make sense to you? When you see a photo of a kid, his house just got blown up, his parents just died. Does that not, really just make you think like, subhanAllah, I want to do something. I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. We know the path to that, akhi. So why are you still on this theoretical?
So let me ask you a question now. This difficulty that we're facing.
You're going to answer my question with a question.
This difficulty that we're facing, did the Prophet ﷺ also experience persecution?
Yes, he did.
Did his companions face severe persecution?
Yes, they did.
Did Allah give him guidelines on how to manage that?
Yes, he did.
He did, right? So wouldn't it not make sense we go to the text and see what the text tells us about how to navigate the situation?
But the West wasn't around back then.
And why is that any relevant though?
Because that's our problem now.
No, our problem is that we have oppression.
Yeah.
Our problem that we have kuffar.
Yeah.
We have people that are opposing us.
Yeah.
That's been the case from the time of Nuh alayhi salam up until our time.
Fair point.
Did Musa is our situation worse than Fir'aun when he was with Musa? Is it worse than Ibrahim and Nimrod? Is it worse than Dawood and Jalut? Is it worse than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Jahl? No. Yet we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't tell us to unite with people of falsehood. Rather, if anything, one of the first things that we were told to do is disunite.
Where?
In Sahih Bukhari, you find the narrations that mention Prophet ﷺ being described by the Quraysh as what? As a person who is dividing. Muhammad, farqun bayn al-nas. Muhammad divided the people. The Prophet was dividing family members, husbands from wives, sons from fathers, daughters
from believers from non-believers.
Say that again?
That's believers from non-believers. We're talking about within the believers.
We'll come to that, inshallah ta'ala. We'll come to that. But I need you to understand that the concept of disunity is present. The concept of disunity, what is?
Present.
Is present, okay? Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised Ibrahim alayhi salam for disunity. He looked at the disbelievers, and what did he say? He said, Inna bura'a'u minkum. We have nothing to do with you. Wa mimma ta'budun, and that which you worship. People think it's only freeing yourself from shirk. Hate the sin, not the sinner. No, Ibrahim's teaching you hate the sin and the sinner. Get away from them, okay? And he said, وَبَدَا بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةِ, and it has now become between us enmity, وَالْبَغْضَاء, hatred. And it will never end until we come back to worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Is that clear? So we have what? We know that the concept of like at the beginning, disunity is needed. You know why? To purify the truth from the falsehood. To purify the truth from the falsehood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not give us victory when we are all united upon falsehood, because that was the.
How do you know?
Because that was the state of the Jews, and that's why they were never given victory. They used to be the people that Allah favored. Allah said, if you look at the Jews, the children of Israel, the kuffar from them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah had preferred them and favored them over all of mankind. But then in the end, they were replaced and they were taken away, and the precedence was given to the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What was one of the characteristics of these Jews who were once favored and then got replaced by the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Allah said, تَحْسَبُهُمْ جَمِيعًا. They appear to be united. وَقُلُوبُهُمْ شَتَّى. But their hearts are scattered. They don't actually believe the same thing. They're all uniting with each other, but their hearts are not. They're all not aligned. They're all not aligned.
Where is this mentioned?
So again, Surah Al-Hashr.
Oh, it's in the Qur'an.
It's in the Qur'an, of course. So then, this is a Jewish type of unity. If it was good, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have praised them for it. But rather, He's dismonished these people.
So unity isn't always good?
No, of course not. Why? Of course not. Why else is the Prophet ﷺ being described as a disuniter? Does that make sense? And now also to come to the point that when you mentioned that, we're being oppressed here, laws are being passed here, so on and so forth. I mean, do you concede that this uniting with people of innovation is haram? Firstly, do you concede that the default is haram, but you want to do it out of necessity?
I mean, we've established that uniting.
I haven't even come to all my evidences for why it's haram.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not fully convinced.
No, I'm gonna come to you. Inshallah ta'ala. But based on I'm just trying to show you when something is inconsistent, it's false. I'm gonna just drop ayat and ahadith and ijma'at. I'm gonna bring it for you.
Do you want to do that first before we move on? I feel like that's like a pivotal thing.
No. I'm going to. But I want to ask you a question right now. Yeah. The question I want to ask you is that have you conceded to the fact that you're inconsistent so far?
Yes.
Then therefore you're false. Your claim is false.
It could just be.
Can the truth ever be inconsistent?
The truth cannot ever be inconsistent. No.
So you have people that are uniting with the Khawarij, with these people who are not with the Khawarij. They unite with them, but they don't want to unite with us. We don't want to unite with them either. But the point of the matter is that they never offered. They never offered. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So the point that I'm making is, what I'm trying to make you understand is that you've accepted. Like Allah, look, we took the ayah. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. That ayah is for me, not for you. Allah said, hold on to the rope of Allah, which is the Qur'an, Sunnah, and then that cannot be without the Sahaba, the Salaf. So you've accepted that, and then the Salaf are all teaching you, don't unite with the people of innovation. So
well, the believers are not but brothers.
Say that again.
The Muslims, إنما المؤمنون الإخوة.
Yeah, of course, we're brothers, but your brotherhood is based on iman, right?
Yes.
But then look what Allah said: فَإِنْ آمَنُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا أَمَنْتُمْ بِهِ فَقَدْ اهْتَدَوْا. They will only be guided if they believe that they have iman the way you and those who are with you have iman, i.e. the companions. So now your iman, the more it's like the companions, the greater I am a brother to you. Less it's like the companions, then our brotherhood decreases. Does that make sense? Until you leave the sunnah completely, you fall into innovation, we're less brothers. Until you now fall into kufr, then we're completely not brothers. Does that make sense? That's why we see the Prophet ﷺ, even though Ka'b ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a brother of his, he still boycotted him.
What was that for?
For leaving of jihad.
So the Prophet boycotted someone?
For a sin. For a mistake. He boycotted him for a mistake, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I haven't even come to it yet. I'm just warming you up. Does that make sense? But the point of the matter is, this unity, it's not something that's consistent. Does that make sense? So now my question is you can't bring me a text to say unite with people in misguidance.
Mm.
So that means you can. So if you can't bring me a text, then it's not permissible. Which means that when you're doing it, you're claiming it's necessity. And that seemed to be your argument when you went off on a rant a second ago. The Muslims are suffering, they're passing laws here, we need to lobby, blah, 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 blah. So what you're really telling me is that this is like drinking alcohol in the desert. That's a necessity situation. It's a necessity situation. And I now need to do what? I need to now do something haram because my life is at stake. So that's what you're claiming, that our life is at stake, so we need to now do haram. That's what you're claiming, right?
I'm just trying to think, because that's not what they say though.
They do.
They say that it's because out of necessity that we have to unite with.
It's out of necessity.
No, I thought they said that's the asl. The asl is unity.
They can't. You know why?
Why?
Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said,
Sallallahu
"La'ana Allahu man awa muhditha or muhdatha." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "May Allah's curse be upon the one who shelters an innovator." Just by you sheltering an innovator, Allah's curse is upon you. What about if you work with him? What about if you hang around with him? What about if you chit-chat with him? What about if you say, hey, let's join hands, let's work together? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, الَّذِينَ إِن مَّكَّنَّاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. The ones that Allah will give strength to on the earth are what? The ones who أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةِ, they establish the prayer. وَآتَوُوا الزَّكَاةَ, they give the zakah. وَآمَرُوا بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, they enjoin the good. وَنَهُوا عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ, they forbid the evil. Is bid'ah evil?
Yes.
The Prophet ﷺ said, وَشَرُّ الْأُمُورِ مُحْدَثَاتُهَا. The most evil of affairs is
Newly invented ones.
the bid'ah, the newly invented matters, which is the innovation. Now, pay attention to me now, okay? When you now work with an innovator, how long do you think your unity is going to last if you keep refuting him for his evil?
It won't last.
It won't last. You can't unite and forbid evil. Uniting now means you have to stop forbidding evil. Allah said He will only make you strong if you pray, give zakat, enjoy good and forbid evil.
I agree with you.
The greatest evil bid'ah, you can't do it anymore. Your unity doesn't allow it.
No, I agree with you. That they're completely against refuting, but some of them make their students take oaths. They have to swear that they're not gonna refute any of the groups. And
Really?
Even if you ask them, what if that person's upon batil? They'll say, just do tasbih.
So when the Prophet stood in front of people about a falsehood, they just said, just done tasbih. Done tasbih, huh? Tasbih is good, I'm not saying, but it's just that's not the solution to the problem here. So anyway, put those people to the side.
So what's your solution?
Say that again?
What's your solution?
Before we come to solution, I really want to drive this point home. Because now you're saying it's a necessity, yeah?
Okay, I agree with you. That we're saying that because there's a bigger problem, let's go out of the ordinary.
The Prophet said Allah's curse is upon the one who shelters an innovator.
Yeah.
Now, what about if you want to work with an innovator?
Yeah.
Is that no worse? Like Allah told you don't say uff to your mom, but did He say you can't slap her? No, but if you can't say uff to her, you can't slap her.
Yeah.
So Allah is negating the minimum. So the Prophet is saying if you just shelter, just give him refuge. You just give refuge to a person of bid'ah, Allah's curse is upon you. What about if you now say, yo, you know what? Let's be friends. Let's work. Let's share platforms. Let's do conferences together.
I agree. I can see that it's haram, but let's talk about in a necessity.
No, because I want to show you how deep it is, yeah? So if it's haram now, it's a necessity. Necessity can only be done when what? Two conditions for doing the necessity. When there's harm, if you don't do it.
And nothing else you do.
There's no other exchange.
No other way
when we go to the sunnah of the Prophet because you used the example of persecution, did you not?
Yeah, of course. And you agree we are, right? Muslims are not being persecuted.
I agree. So what did the Prophet tell his companions to do when they're being persecuted?
Wasn't vote by any chance, was it?
No, not at all. In fact, the Quraysh actually came to the Prophet in the middle of the persecution. And they said to the Prophet, we will give you governance over us.
They offered him leadership.
Leadership. And they said, you know what? Just stop. Stop with you're dividing us.
Did he take it when they offered it and then change things?
No, of course not.
Down?
Of course not. Of course he didn't step down. He didn't step down. He did not step down. Even though they gave him, they said, we'll make you our ruler. Worship one day, worship your God, one day worship.
Why not? Because then he would have been in a position of power, and then he would have been able to change the whole system.
But doesn't the fact that he didn't show you that that's not the solution? Had it been the solution, don't you think Allah would have guided him to that? But that's not. He rejected it because you don't change things from the top down. You change things from the bottom up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
And
makes
that's
sense.
what the text show. My point, which I'm trying to go to,
Wow, that's powerful.
yeah, my point, which I'm trying to go to, is the Prophet commanded his companions to do hijrah. But that's a very, very sticky topic for people. We can't do hijrah. We live here. Well, clearly, it's not that much of a necessity for you if you can still choose to live here, right? If you're really being persecuted that bad, and you know that in the state of persecution, like for example, Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi, who was a Salafi Imam, joined with Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, who was accused of being, or mentioned, or historically mentioned as an Ash'ari, even though Ash'a'ira such as Muhammad Zahid al-Kawthari criticized him for being a supporter of the Salafis, right? But they love to use this example. But that's my point. Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi, a Salafi, joined their army. Why? Because there was no other choice. He joined them because the Crusaders were slaughtering the blood. They were in your land killing you. They were taking the heads of Muslims and making pyramids out of it. They were putting stakes through the Muslim bodies and skewering them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then he said, okay, this is life and death now.
So can I ask you then? So would you,
So
let's say you lived in a house
Yeah.
and you had two neighbors only. There's only 3 houses. On the right, there's an Ikhwani, and on the left, there's a Sufi. And now, some kuffar come to try and attack you now. They're attacking all 3, like to try and attack all 3 of your houses, burn them down. You're saying that you would be happy to unite in that situation with them to defend your houses.
Here's the thing, you don't call it unity.
What do you call it?
You call it working together. This is what, have you heard of Hilful Fudhool?
I was going to present that to you later.
That's our argument. That's not yours. That's for us.
How?
Hilful Fudhool is when the Prophet ﷺ came
It's a
together.
big claim, you know.
Yeah, of course it's a big claim.
It's a controversial thing, you know.
It's not, it's ours. I don't know how they dare use it. It's ours. It's for us. The Prophet ﷺ,
Be careful what you say.
it's not. The Prophet ﷺ, there was a confederacy where he came together with the kuffar, the mushrikeen, before he became a prophet, to stand for the oppression of a man who'd been oppressed from one of the men of Quraysh. And the Prophet ﷺ said, if I had the opportunity to do it again, I'd do it again. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I would do it again. Now pay attention. Can you say the Prophet united with them?
I mean, it depends what you mean by the word unite.
No,
in a sense, you could use that
No,
word.
you can't.
Depending on
You know why?
Why?
Because the whole time, why has he spent the last 13 years in Mecca dividing them, going to war with them? It's not unity. It's about justice. It's about coming together on a particular issue.
But isn't that what they're calling to?
No. Abdullah ibn Abi Rawaha, look at this. He came to the Jews.
Was
Okay.
he
His companion.
his
Prophet
companion, so-
He said, you are the most hated people to me. But my hatred for you will not make me be unjust to you. Does that make sense? So there may be a people that you hate, that you're against, that you're working against, the people of innovation, people of kufr, people of shirk, but there may be a cause for justice. So we'll work together on it. And I can unite. Don't play with terms. Don't play with the terms. Don't do that. So you can't play with terms. You can't do that. Does that make sense? This is something that the Prophet said they would do. That what happened? A time will come where shaitan will make the people, they will drink alcohol. يسمونها بغير اسمه بغير اسمه يسمونها بغير اسمها أو كما قال. The Prophet said they will come to alcohol and they'll give it a name other than its name. This is a trick of shaitan. He comes to you and make you want to do something haram and he gives it a different name. He came to Adam alayhi salam. He said, this is shajaratul khuld, the tree of eternity. The tree Allah said, فَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Don't come close to this tree. You will be from those who are ظالمين. He came and he changed the name of the tree. Shajaratul khuld. He came and changed the name of homosexuality from sodomy. He called it gay. Be happy.
Love.
He came to the kids, told them to change the name of drugs to food. Change the name to alcohol to juice. Change the name of zina to fornication to love. Oh, we made love. Oh, we slept. Change the name of what? Working with the enemies of Allah to unity. Change the name of what? Working together on a particular issue. To what? Unity. No, it's playing with them. That wasn't unity. Hilful is not unity. And even then, Imam Ibn Qayyim, in his Zad al-Ma'ad, which is his kitab, about the Prophet. It's a study of the Prophet's life.
Mm.
He mentions conditions for when you want to work with the people. He says, can Hilful Fudhool be used to work with people of misguidance? And he mentions in there because the Prophet didn't even work with innovators. You know, Imam Ahmed rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned that the people of innovations are worse than the people of kuffar. You know why? Because you see, when a kafir comes to you and he harms you, what does he do? He attacks your dunya, takes your life, your money, your wealth. When an innovator comes to you, he attacks your heart. He gives you khutbah, teaches you lessons.
So it's easy to distinguish a kafir, but it's not easy to distinguish an innovator.
Exactly. And both bid'ah and kufr take you to hellfire. Both bid'ah and kufr take you to hellfire.
That's another thing I noticed about this group is that they're very similar to Salafis in the fact that they'll say the same scholars, they'll say that they've studied with Salafi scholars, they'll, in their talks, they'll quote Salafi scholars. So it's understandable why people would be attracted to them.
No, but it's a joke. They pick and choose.
Because like, for example, with a Sufi, it's clear. He'll tell you, Sheikh Fawzan, he's misguided. These guys will quote Sheikh Fawzan, but then say, we need to vote. Or then say, yeah, we need to unite.
So then take Fawzan's position of voting. And also bring Fawzan, see, that's what I'm saying, they pick and choose. That's what Mufaddal...
Well, you pick and choose as well, though.
No.
You say that you're Shafi'i, right?
Yeah.
You don't follow Imam Shafi'i in everything, though, do you?
So
some place you'll say he got it wrong.
So, 1 second. There's a difference between usul and furu'. The usul of the religion, which is the foundation, the fundamentals of the religion, we follow Imam Shafi'i in all of them. We don't blind follow him because Aqidah, you don't blind follow him. But he agreed with us upon all foundational fundamental issues. Okay? What you might differ is in the sub-branches. These people differ with Sheikh Salih Fawzan in the foundations, not sub-branches. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's ikhtilaf amongst the Sahaba in the sub-branches, but there was no ikhtilaf amongst the Sahaba in the foundations. The foundational key core tenets of the religion, all the same. All the same. Does that make sense? So the point that I'm making here, my brother, is that when it comes to this issue of unity, you can't use Hilful Fudhool. The point I was making, Ibn al-Qayyim, Zad al-Ma'ad, he mentioned that there's conditions to it. One of the conditions is that you cannot, one of the conditions that this you're working together with the people of misguidance, working together on a particular issue. You're working with them on a particular issue for what? For a goal. There are conditions. One of the goals is that you cannot achieve this goal by working together with the people of the Sunnah. As in, you can only achieve this by working with people of misguidance. Like Ibn Qudama joining the army of the Asha'ira. Do you understand? There was no way, there's no other option. The second thing is it even a necessity in the first place? And that brings me to the point that you asked earlier, which is, what's your solution? The issue with these people is that they have not even identified the problem.
They have, it's the West.
No, it's not. The problem is innovation.
You think serious?
I'm being deadly serious.
And how did you come to that conclusion?
Do you want me to shock the pants off of you?
Not literally, no, but that'd be a bit awkward.
Hadith Hudayfah ibn Yaman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. I'm going to give you the wording of Muslim.
Okay.
Hudayfah said, كان الناس يسألون رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الخير. The people came to the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم and they would ask them about good. وكنت أسأله عن الشر. But I used to ask the Prophet about the bad. مخافة أن يدركني. Out of fear that I may reach the evil times. He said, I came to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I asked him about the evil times. And the Prophet told him that the time of evil will come. And then there'll be a time of good that will come after. So they're on good now, evil will come. And then you'll return back to good. But that good will not be pure. فيه دخن. There'll be taint. Hudayfah said, وَمَا دَخَنُهُ. What will be the taint and the stain and the smoke that is on that good that comes back? The Prophet said, قَوْمٌ, a people. يَسْتَنُّونَ بِغَيْرِ سُنَّتِي. A people that are upon an evil other than, the people are upon a sunnah other than my sunnah. وَيَهْدُونَ بِغَيْرِ هَدِي. They're upon a guidance other than my guidance. تَعْرِفُهُمْ وَتُنْكِرُ. Then Hudayfah said, وَهَلْ كَانَ بَعْدَ هَذَا الْخَيْرِ مِنْ شَرٍ. Okay, this is the good, but that was the good time, by the way. That people are going to be, there was good, pure good, evil, then good again, but the evil will be tainted. People will not be on the Prophet's sunnah. So it's already bad.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's already bad. Then he said, Hudayfah said, after that good, we will come and see evil once again. The Prophet said, Na'am. And this is the problem. du'atun, the Prophet said. The evil will be du'at, people giving da'wah. How can du'at be bad unless they're calling to?
But where did you get people giving da'wah from?
That's the word du'atun,
But da'at means callers,
callers.
right? Because I was watching a podcast and one brother, Omar Hajjaj, he said that, brothers misquote this hadith and say da'at always means people in da'wah. It means callers, people who are like, for example, hijabi influencers who are misguiding Muslims. They are du'at, abwab jahannam, people of sin who call people to their sin. This hadith is referring to them, not to da'at.
So then what made them restrict it to only hijabi influences?
And what made you restrict it to only da'at?
I didn't restrict. No. What do you mean?
What made you restrict it
All
to
callers to
people
evil.
in the da'wah?
It's all callers to evil.
So you're not saying it's only people in da'wah?
It's anyone calling to evil. Look at Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani's sharh. Look at Ibn Jarir al-Tabari's sharh. Look at the hadith, du'at, and the problem will be du'atun ala abwabi jahannam, people calling to the gates of the hellfire. Anyone who calls to that which takes you to the hellfire can take this. If you're calling to kufr, you can fall under this.
So you're not negating that it also refers to people who call to sins?
I'm not going to say that. Because I need to find an imam who explained it like that. And if you find an imam who explained it like that, no problem.
Okay.
But you need to prove it doesn't apply to the people of bid'ah. Especially when we have an imam that says it applies to people of bid'ah.
Like who?
Imam Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani.
He said that it applies to Imam.
And also Imam,
Sorry,
if I'm not mistaken,
right.
it's either him or Imam al-Nawawi. I read it many years ago. My point I'm making is du'atun ala abwabi jahannam. Anyone who's calling, he's at the gates of the hellfire. Man ajabahum ilayha. He, what? Anyone who responds to their da'wah, qadhafuhu fiha, he will fall into the hellfire with them. So anyone who responds to a da'wah that will take you to the hellfire, does the da'wah of bid'ah take you to the hellfire?
Yes.
The Prophet says, ستفترق أمتي على 73 فرقة كلها في النار إلا واحدة. He said, my ummah will divide into 73 sects. All of them will go to hellfire except for one. Innovation, bid'ah, different groups, sects, takes to the hellfire. Pay attention. The Prophet said, what did he say? What did he say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What did he say? The evil is what? People calling to misguidance. These people, you say to them, is this Shi'i upon misguidance? So yes. Is this Ash'ari upon misguidance? Yes. Is this guy upon misguidance? Yes. But I'm going to work with him anyway. He's the problem. He's the problem. You say, no, the problem is the West. Where did the Prophet mention the West? The Prophet didn't live in this time. You telling me the Prophet didn't know, wouldn't have guided us? Then where do we take the hadith? Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. When the Prophet came and he said, anything good that I knew for you, I told you. And anything evil that I knew for you, I told you. All good that was needed for us, he told us. All evil that we need to avoid, he told us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed him. Did Allah forget, waliyadu billah, to tell his messenger to warn us about the greatest evil, the West? The West only became powerful. Why? Because of bid'ah. What's the proof? The Muslim ummah was always strong. You talked about us being weak earlier. What made us weak? What weakened the Muslims? Bid'ah. The Muslims were united and then the Khawarij came. Crack. The Muslims divided. Then after the Khawarij, who came? The Mu'tazila. Crack. Another group divided.
Shia as well.
Then the Shia came. Crack. Deepened. Another group came. Jahmiyyah. The crack deepened. Another group came. The Ash'ari. Crack deepened. Qadariyah. Crack deepened. Maturidiyah. Crack deepened. Ismailis. Crack deepened. And it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until there's what? 72 sects. Each one with their own army. Each one with their own cause. And of course, the word number 72, majority of the scholars explained it to be what? It can mean more. It can mean more. That is a mas'ala, is beyond the scope of discussion. But the point of the matter is that now there's many different groups. Look at the Shi'as. The Iran have their own army and their own mission. Go look at their what's their constitution. Lebanon, Hezbollah's got its own. Turkey's got its own. Syria's got its own. Saudi's got its own. Everyone's got their own agendas. Everyone's got their own missions. Everyone's what? Got what? They've got different ideologies backing up their whatever they're on. Do you know what I'm saying? Whatever they're on. So the point I'm making to you here is that what broke us apart in the first place?
Innovation.
Innovation. That's what broke us. It's consistent with history. And to show you the danger, wallahi, every time, the Muslims would grow when it came against the Crusaders, who would stab them in the back? The Shia.
Really?
That's why Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, they accused him of being Ash'ari. I told you Muhammad Zahid al-Quthri said no, he wasn't. He criticized him. Whether you accuse him of that or not, whatever, he was a smart man. He realized the innovators have to go. Nuruddin al-Zinki, who was his predecessor, who took his position, was killed as the Muslims were going. Every time they would go, the Shia would come and kill them, working with the Crusaders. He said, you know what? Forget the kuffar. He turned his army towards the Shia. He first went to war with them, dealt with that problem. He said, now we've got the problem in our own house sorted. We've taken out the fire that's burning inside of our houses, in our living rooms. Now let's go put out the fire outside. Do you understand? Ibn Taymiyyah did the same. The people got their swords ready to fight against the Mongols. And what did he do?
He said, not today.
Took the swords out of their hands. He said, sit down, you're not going to get victory today. You're all upon bid'ah. He didn't say that, but that was the point he was alluding to. He said, you didn't come with the conditions, the shurut for Allah to give you victory. Put your swords down, put your weapons down. You didn't come with the reason for Allah to give you victory today. So he taught them Aqidah, Al-Wasitiyya, Al-Tadburiyya, Al-Hamawiyya. He taught them Safariniyya. Perhaps maybe not those specific Aqidah books because they were written in different portions of his life, but that which was in them he taught. Then he trained them. He said, now let's get the army ready. Because we're disunited. We're on the battlefield. One guy's calling out to Allah. One guy's saying, Ya Al-Ali, Ya Al-Muta'al. Ya Al-Muta'al. The Most High. Right?
Yeah.
One is saying, Ya Al-Qabid, Ya Al-Basit. These are names of Allah. Right? Ya Al-Qabid.
Yeah.
Ya Al-Basit. The one who grabs. The one who holds. The one who opens. It's referring to the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And what is it? The Ash'ari says, hey. What is these Allah's names and attributes that you're affirming? And you're making dua for victory. And he's telling you, no, you can't use these names to call Allah. What do you mean? These names, what is it? You're affirming Allah's names and attributes for him. You're affirming his sifat for him. Okay? Then the other guy, forget him. He's having a different conversation. He said, Ya Abdul Qadir Jailani. Madad. Oh, Abdul Qadir Jailani, help me. He's calling out to the dead. He's calling out to the dead. So you're going to start fighting amongst yourselves. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he spoke to the companions about battle, he said, what? If you see your enemies, فَثْبِتُوا, be firm. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ, obey Allah and his messenger. وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا وَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. When you're in the battle, don't fight amongst yourselves because you will lose your strength. How are we not going to fight when we fundamentally differ on issues? So we're going to be disunited in the battle. We're going to be disunited in our front ranks. So Ibn Taymiyyah said, no. The Mongols are going to eat us. They're already eating us. They're going to eat us if we fight. He said, no. We have to come together now. Logically, it makes sense. Textually, you know why? Because then Allah gives victory. We're forgetting in here that victory is in Allah's hands. قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ. Say, Allahumma, oh Allah, you are the what? The one who possesses the dominion. Malik al-Mulk, you're the owner of the dominions. Okay? تُؤْتِ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ, you give the dominion, you give the kingdom to whom you will. وَتَنْزِعُ الْمُلْكَ مِمَّنْ تَشَاءُ, and you take it from whom you will. وَتُعِزُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ, you honor whom you will. وَتُذِلُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ, you humiliate whom you will. بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرِ, in your hand is good. Well, it's in Allah's hands. Can that which is in Allah's hand be received by disobeying Him?
No.
You think you can go against Allah and get that which is in His hands? No, the issue here is not that we need political unity. You need what? To unite the people upon Tawheed and Aqidah and Sunnah and Manhaj. And that's what Ibn Taymiyyah did. And then he gathered the army. And then he went to Egypt. He spoke to the Egyptian ruler. Ibn Daqiq al-Eid rahimahullah ta'ala was there. He recited the ayat of jihad. And he said, now come. And he brought the army from there. And they united. And they fought the Mongols and they won.
So going back to the hadith of Hudayfa. So how did it end?
So come back to the hadith of Hudayfa. The point I'm making is that what was the problem here?
The problem was innovation.
The problem is that which takes you to the hellfire. People who call, shirk. And now you want to work with the callers to the hellfire. You want to work with the people who call to that. You want to work with the people who negate Allah's attributes. You want to work with the people who call out to graves. You want to work with the people who do bid'ah. Bid'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's curse is descending upon his innovator. Allah's curse is descending upon him, but you want to work with him. Allah's curse is descending upon this bid'ah mubtadi', as I mentioned in the hadith to you prior. That Allah's curse descends upon the one who shouts as the innovator. What about the one who does bid'ah himself? And then he calls to it, but you want to work with him. His curse, the one who Allah's curse is depending on, you want to work with him, but the Prophet is telling you he's the problem. Okay, then Hudayfa said, Sifhum lana ya Rasulullah. Describe them to me. يقولون بألسنتنا يتكلمون بألسنتنا وهم من جلدتنا ويتكلمون بألسنتنا أو كما قال. He said they will have our skin. They have the same skin as us. They are people from amongst us. ويتكلمون بألسنتنا. They will speak with our tongues. They speak our words. They will bring Qur'an, Sunnah, Tawheed. Like you mentioned earlier, right? They use these names of these Imams. Mufaddal ibn Muhalhal rahimahullah ta'ala. This is why he said when you go to Ahl Bidah, they will never mention the hidden belief to you first. They will always mention the Sunnah to you to lure you in, and then they trap you. So this is the deceptive. Okay? And then he said, فَمَا تَأْمُرَنِي إِنْ أَدَرَكَنِي ذَلِكَ. What do you command me, O Messenger of Allah, if I reach that situation? What do you command me to do? What do you command me to do if I reach that situation? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَلْزَمْ جَمَاعَةَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَإِمَامَهُمْ أو كما قال. He said, hold on to the Jama'ah of the Muslims and the Muslim ruler. Pay attention. What did the Prophet tell you to do in this difficult time?
Hold on to the Muslims and the Imam.
There you go. Look at the point there. The Prophet said, hold on to the Jama'ah of the Muslims and the Imam. Now pay attention. So here the Prophet, don't you think that if there was a need to specify and clarify and go into details, he would have? The fact that the Prophet mentioned Imam generally, without specifying whether he's a good Imam or a bad Imam. I mean, look how much detail he went into already. Du'atun ala abwabi jahannam. People, the callers at the gates of the hellfire. The Prophet gave it so specific. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Right? He told you specifically what the problem is. And now he's telling Hudayfa the solution. Do you not think he would be specific if there was a need? But it's general for a reason. Because it encompasses the Imams, whether they're dhalim or not. Is he an Imam of the Muslims? Now straight away you should now know anyone who calls to rebelling against the Muslim ruler. What is he?
Part of the problem.
He's part of the problem. He's one of the du'at to the hellfire. You know why? Because rebelling against the Muslim ruler is going to do what? Not allow you to do the first thing, which was what?
Hold on to the
Jama'ah.
And to the ruler.
Not hold on to the Jama'ah, but be with the Jama'ah. Because what you're going to do now is when you revolt against the ruler, what are you going to do?
Break off from the
You're going to divide the Muslims even more. They're already divided upon innovation. Now you're going to divide them politically. Look, for example, in Libya, how many groups there are to this day? How many groups they broke up into? Even more factions. It's even worse now. So you go against the ruler, which results in you what? Because in order to keep the Jama'ah of the Muslims, you should not go against the ruler. Going against the ruler will what? Break the Jama'ah of the Muslims. That's why another hadith, the Prophet said, anyone who tries to break your unity, i.e. as in the Muslims, he tries to divide them in that way by establishing a second government whilst you already have a leader. The Prophet said, kill the second one. Kill him. Kill him. Because he's trying to destroy the unity. Does that make sense? Now look what Hudayfa says. He said, إِن لَمْ يَكُنْ الجماعة ولا الإمام أو كما قال. So what if there's no Jama'ah, no Imam? In the UK, do we have a Muslim ruler?
No.
In America, Canada, do we have a Muslim ruler?
No.
What did the Prophet said? Look how he ended it. He said, this is not, are we not close to this situation?
Yeah, we don't have a ruler.
But we can't say we don't have a Jama'ah, but we don't have a ruler. The Prophet said, فَاعْتَزِلْ تِلْكَ الْفِرْقَ كُلَّهَا. He said, break away, get away from every single sect.
Every single one.
In
other words, the opposite of unite. But, so then shouldn't I also run away from Salafiyah?
Say that again?
Salafiyah is also a sect, right? Every sect.
So
be consistent.
No, it's not. Because then what did the Prophet say after that?
What did he say?
فَاعْتَزِلْ تِلْكَ الْفِرْقَ كُلَّهَا ولو أن تعض بأصل شجرة حتى يدركك الموت وأنت على ذلك أو كما قال. Go back to the Prophet says, break away from every single sect, and to the point where if you have to go back to the root of the tree, go back to the root of the tree and hold on to it until death comes to you. How did the ulama explain what the root of the tree is? What's the root of the religion? Al-Qur'an wa Sunnah. Do you understand? And Al-Qur'an, Sunnah does what? Like, it comes back to the original point that we made. Can you have Qur'an without Sunnah?
No.
Can you have Sunnah without Sahaba?
No.
Can you have Sahaba without Salaf?
No.
Oh, I bring Salafi again. But this is talking about a situation where you're one guy left. Ibn Mas'ud said, أنت الجماعة, you are the Jama'ah that day. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ وَحْدَ. But what you do is that now you go back to the root of the tree, you go back to the Qur'an and Sunnah, which necessitates the Sahaba and the Salaf, and what do? Now?
Teach people.
Oh, so you rebuild the Jama'ah. You rebuild the Jama'ah. Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Who's the Jama'ah? Ahlul Sunnah, the people of the Sunnah. The Jama'ah is what? Sahaba. A Salaf. Does that make sense? So get away from all those sects. Come back to the root of the tree, which brings you to the one saved sect. Because there is one sect that will make it to paradise.
Yeah, but what if,
So this is the hadith of the Prophet alayhi as-salatu was-salam. I don't know what more they want after this.
some say that with regards to the issue of
Just let us think. The hadith that mentions the problem mentioned to the solution. It mentioned the problem is what they proclaim the solution is, i.e.
I'm with you.
the people who are caught in misguidance, they want to work with them. That's the problem. And what they claim to be the solution, i.e. unity with them, is what the Prophet said is the problem.
He said directly cut away from every sect. And you're saying join with every sect. You're basically
they said the solution is unity with them. The Prophet said the solution is disunity with them. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
and he specifically said with every sect.
فَاعْتَزِلْ تِلْكَ الْفِرْقَةَ كُلَّهَا. كل means to everything. تفيد العموم. من الألفاظ الذي تفيد العموم.
You know, like some people say in it, like when it comes to the hadith of the 72 sects, they say that the one sect, it refers to the main body of the Muslims. So people who are, similar in belief, who have minor differences, and the 72 sects are extreme fringe groups. This is another thing that I've come across.
Where did they get this from? Who said it before them?
No, as in they say that. No, as in they say we agree with the hadith. We don't deny the hadith, but just the application of the hadith. You're saying that Ikhwani is one group. You're saying that Barelvi is another group. Deobandi is another group. We're saying that all of these are the middle group, because we agree upon the foundations. It's just the extreme fringe groups. Khawarij, Shia.
We don't agree. No. One second.
This is another big thing that's being pushed.
One second. We don't agree upon the foundations. Firstly, don't act like these groups don't have... like Barelvis they have worse beliefs than the Khawarij. They do shirk. Billahi.
You're saying shirk is worse than murder?
Say that again?
You're saying shirk is worse than killing an innocent life?
Shirk is the worst sin. A murderer, if he makes tawbah, like even if he dies and he murdered, there's a possibility Allah may forgive him. He's under Allah's will. But the person who does shirk, Allah will never forgive. Allah will never forgive.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Firstly, don't lie to the people, and say like Ikhwanis, one of their fundamental beliefs is that we will work with the people of innovation. That is one of their fundamental beliefs, that we work together what we agree upon and we excuse each other for what we disagree. That's one of their fundamental beliefs. Now, when you go back to the Jama'ah of the Sahaba and the Salaf, the Tabi'een and the Atba'u Tabi'een, when they wrote their books of Aqeedah out, for example, Usul al-Sunnah by Imam Ahmed, Usul al-Sunnah by Abdullah ibn Zubayr al-Humaydi, when you go to Imam al-Lalakai's al-I'tiqad, you go to Sharh al-Sunnah by Imam al-Barbahari, you go to Sharh al-Sunnah by Imam al-Muzani, okay? You go to Al-Ibana by Ibn Battah, you go to Al-Khallal, his Sunnah, you go to all these kitabs, you go to all of these kutub from the A'immat al-Salaf who were there, who transmitted their Aqeedah. They all mention one way or another the dangers of innovation and cutting off from the people of Bid'ah. In fact, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, in the beginning of his Usul al-Sunnah, who's the Imam of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, he's known as Imam Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. What did he do? At the beginning he said, وَتَرْكُ أَهْلُ الْبِدْعَةِ. From our foundations, core beliefs, is that we leave off innovation. We leave off the people of innovation. We leave them off. We don't work with them. We don't associate with them. He said, we don't even what? We don't even sit with them. We don't even debate with them. We don't even discuss with them. That's a fundamental belief of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So it's not for you to tell us which group is in line with the Jama'ah, with the beliefs or not. Okay, the Salaf, they outlined, unanimously agreed on what the beliefs of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah were on the back of evidences. Okay, and then what did they say? They said, this is the rule book. This is the checklist. You want to be part of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah? You're going to make sure you come correct on these. But what they want to do is they want to work together with people that don't come correct on that checklist. They don't come correct on that checklist. On what basis are you saying that the Ash'aris are part of Ahlul Sunnah? Like one group is telling you the Qur'an, what is not the speech of Allah.
Yeah.
And the other group is telling you the Qur'an is the speech of Allah. We differ on the book of Allah.
No,
We differ on the book of Allah. The book of Allah, we differ on Allah. We differ with regards to our understanding of Allah. Put that to the side. We differ on the message of the Prophet. They say Tawheed is what? Allah is wahid fi dhatihi.
In his essence.
فلا جزء له. He's one in his essence and he doesn't break up. Do we deny that?
No.
He's one in his essence.
But we also worship him.
But our Tawheed, which
you worship him.
Yeah, which we say that the da'wah of the Prophet was, which is our main message, is what? To worship Allah alone. They don't even say that. They say that's a bid'ah. They say that's a bid'ah. Do you understand? So how can you say we're the same group in the broader sense of the word? Abadan.
That's a powerful point.
Talbis. Wallahi talbis. It's one group.
So,
the Prophet said
to
one.
summarize.
One second. The Prophet said one. So when he said one, so you're telling me the Prophet was confusing us then? When he was said one, he actually meant 3 in 1? Is this Trinity now? When he said one, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you're telling me he meant 3 in 1 or 5 in 1? The broad general sense of Islam, they come. So then why did the Prophet say why? Why didn't the Prophet say the groups that fall into the broader meaning of Islam? Like you have to understand, the Prophet ﷺ knew his speech, hukum is taken from it, ahkam is taken from it, fiqh is taken from it. He was very precise in his language. He used the term one because it meant one. Do you understand? When he used the term 72, he didn't mean 72. Why? Because that was a norm of the Arabs. They would use the term 70.
70 uses a lot.
As to mean a lot. Like, you know, when we say hundreds and hundreds, you might mean thousands, but it was a word that they use. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When the Prophet said...
It's quite common for 70, like there's 70,000 angels holding this, or 70,000 years.
Like when the Prophet told you there's 5 prayers in a day, there was what? 5. Big prayers in a day. He didn't mean 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? When the Prophet told you, you give zakat, rub al-ushar, which is 2.5%. He went, numbers are nasrun fil adad. A very specific thing. You can't play games now, man. You know what I'm saying? One means one, bro. That's a Trinity thing. That's a Trinity thing.
That's an eye-opening. It's been an
eye-opening
discussion.
All the evidences that I had, I have so many ayat, ahadith, ijma'at, aqwal al-salaf. I didn't even get to go into it.
Do you know, just mention some of them? I think it would be good to. I'll be honest with you. I'm already convinced. But you know what it is? Sometimes it's good, just to have that. That's Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was already convinced with Allah. He didn't disbelieve in Allah. But he just said to Allah, just to give my heart that sense of tranquility. So you could just show me,
Okay, so, I'll tell you what I'll do. Because it's been a bit long, I'll mention the ayah and I'll mention the imams that explained it with regards to being refutation of people innovation.
Okay.
Without going to each one specifically so they can do their research in their own time.
Shall I summarize what we've discussed so far up until now?
Go on, tafadhal.
So we discussed obviously that, unity isn't necessarily always a positive thing. There's a negative unity and there's a positive unity. For example, in the Qur'an, Allah admonishes the Jews for their unity, which was that they appeared united on the outside, but on the inside their hearts were disunited. And you find that this is the exact unity being called to today. Of course, there is a positive type of unity, hold on to the rope of Allah, but that is holding on to the rope of Allah, not each other. So if someone says to you, you hold on to him, you hold on to him, that's not the correct understanding. Correct understanding is hold on to the Qur'an, the Sunnah, understanding of the Salaf, and that will unite all of you. And then we went through the problems. People say it's the issues in the West, the laws being passed. Reality is, as shown, according to the texts, that's not the case. In the Qur'an, Allah says that evil and corruption spread throughout their hands because of what the hands of men have done. In the hadith of Hudhayfa, which you mentioned, that is callers to the hellfire. People who call to sins, people who call to innovation, people who call to shirk, people who call to the hellfire. And we were told that the solution in that very hadith is to hold on to the Jama'ah and disunite from every single sect and go back to the original understanding of Islam. So this is the Prophet's solution, not mine, not Dawahman's. This is actually the prophetic solution. And also what was mentioned is that persecution is happening today, no doubt, to the Uyghurs, to the in Palestine, all around the world, Kashmir. But you can't say it's greater than what happened to the Sahaba. And this was the solution, work for them. Why can't it work for us?
And the solution is to come back to Aqeedah and Tawheed.
Okay.
So we mentioned the dalil quickly. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ الَّذِينَ يَخُوضُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ. This ayah, Imam Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala says, talking about Ahl al-Bid'ah. Imam Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, who's Imam al-Mufassirin, he says, talking about Ahl al-Bid'ah. Rather, he said, لا تجالسوا أهل الخصومات فإنهم الذين يخوضون في آيات الله.
Slow down a little bit. Sorry, you can.
It's going to have to be fast because there's loads.
Sure.
They can maybe slow it down on YouTube.
0.75
yeah,
speed.
they can do that inshallah ta'ala. They can go in their own time. He said لا تجالسوا أهل الخصومات فإنهم الذين يخوضون في آيات الله. He said don't sit. This ayah shows you're not even allowed to sit with the people of innovation. Why? Because they are the ones who are يخوضون في آيات الله. They are the ones engaging in false conversation about the verses of Allah. وإذا رأيت الذين يخوضون في آياتنا. If you see the ones engaging in false conversation about the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ. Turn away from them. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay?
How do you know that applies to innovators?
Say that again? It's general. There's a principle when it comes to the Qur'an. العبرة بعموم اللفظ لا بخصوص السبب. What is considered is the generality of the wording, not the specification of the reasoning. Does that make sense? So even if the ayah came down because of the kuffar, the wording, is it general? Yes. Is it general?
Yes.
Who are the ones who engage in false conversation about Allah's ayat? Do the innovators engage in false conversation about the ayat?
Yeah.
They do, right? So then they come under it. Simple. They come under it. And Ibn Jarir al-Tabari is saying that, not me. Imam Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala is saying that. Imam Shawkani rahimahullah said that about the ayah, okay? I've got more. We have also the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَقَدْ نَزَّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الْكِتَابِ أَنْ إِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ يُكْفَرُ بِهَا وَيُسْتَهْزَأُ بِهَا فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُم. Same thing. If you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ayat being disbelieved in, being mocked, فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُم. Do not sit with those people. حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا. Same. يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ. Does that make sense? Allah said, don't sit with these people. If you do, إِنَّكُمْ إِذَا مِثْلُهُم. You'll be just like them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ جَامِعُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْكَافِرِينَ فِي جَهَنَّمَ جَمِيعًا. Again, Imam Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned in his tafsir of this. He brought also Dahak. He said, دَخَلَ في هذه الآية كل محدث. Every single innovator في الدين مبتدع إلى يوم القيامة. This ayah encompasses every single innovator until the day of judgment.
Subhanallah.
Does that make sense? And he was through Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, who was one the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allahumma fiqhihu fi din wa allimhu ta'wil. Allah give him the interpretation of the Qur'an. He's one of his students, Ad-Dahak. Okay. We have many texts. I'm just trying to skip through them very quickly. So how many verses have I given you so far? 2 verses, right? Okay, come. Let's go to the next verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا إِلَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا. Don't lean to the people who are oppressive. فَتَمَسَّكُمُ النَّارِ. The fire will touch you. Don't lean to them. Don't even lean to the direction of these people, okay? Imam Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned that this is leaving off the people of innovation. Imam Qurtubi, I'm mentioning to you the key mufassirin. Ibn Jarir Tabari, Qurtubi, you know what I'm saying? The classic, original ones. They were known for what? Ibn Jarir was known for his tafsir of the Salaf al-Salih and whatever have you, okay? So he's saying what? This is referring to what? The people of innovation. Does that make sense? Okay, then he brings some poetries and whatnot and so on and so forth. Okay, look at the fourth evidence. This ayah. لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you will not find any people that believe in Allah and the last day, that are what? Allying, making friends with those who oppose Allah and His Messenger. ولو كانوا آباءهم, even if it's their fathers, أو أبناءهم, their children, أو إخوانهم, their brothers, أو عشيرتهم. Pay attention. Are people of innovation opposing the Prophet ﷺ?
Yeah.
That's why Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala uses this ayah to refer to what? The Qadariyah. And Shaykh Bakr Abu Zayd rahimahullah ta'ala in his kitab Hajr al-Mubtadi' mentioned this same reason that he used it for the Qadariyah, people of Bid'ah, it can be used for any group of innovation. Does that make sense? And then now we can bring some narrations from the Prophet alayhi as-salatu was-salam. Okay? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned the hadith to Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, سيكون في آخر الزمان سيكون في آخر أمتي في آخر أمتي, that they will be at the end of my ummah, okay, nas, people, يحدثونكم, they will speak with you, And they will mention things to you. بِمَا لَمْ تَسْمَعُوا أَنْتُم. Things that you've never heard before. What's this? What are things that you've never heard before?
Innovations.
Bid'ah. Things that you never heard before. لم تسمعوا. You've never heard them. أنتم. You have never heard them. ولا آباؤكم. You've never heard them. Your forefathers never heard them. فإياكم وإياهم. Be warned of them. Stay away from them. I didn't want to unite with them, okay? And the hadith is mentioned in the Sahih of Imam Muslim's Muqaddimah. Yeah, the Prophet recited to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, the ayah from the Qur'an when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله. Who are the people that in their hearts is a deviation? Who are the people in their hearts that have a deviation? The ones who take the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what do? They tamper with them, they play with them, they take a deviated, they do ta'wil, they misinterpret them. Bad interpretation. Remember we took already these people يخوضون في آياتنا, the ones who are diving into Allah's verses with regards to false conversation. Remember we took them early? Now is another ayah showing that these people, what do? They play around with these verses. They have a deviation in their heart. Okay, what and what are these people of innovation, right? Who else are they? So what did the Prophet ﷺ say to Aisha? He said, Aisha said, the Prophet ﷺ said, فإذا رأيت, he's saying, oh Aisha, he said, فإذا رأيت, if you see, oh Aisha, الذين يتبعون ما تشابه منه, if you see the ones that are playing around with the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're coming with these false misinterpretations. فَأُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ سَمَّ اللَّهُ. These are the ones that Allah mentioned. فَحْذَرُهُمْ. Stay away from them. Can you unite with someone that you've been told to stay away from? Can you unite with someone you've been stay away from? Can you unite with someone you've been stay away from?
No.
No, you can't, right? So you have the hadith I mentioned earlier. لَعَنَ اللَّهُ مَنْ آوَى مُحْدِثًا. Oh, muhdatha. Two different riwayat. May Allah's curse be upon one who shouts as an innovator. What about one who works with an innovator? Okay? Wallahi, there's so many ahadith that we can bring. So many ahadith that we can bring from the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. The ones that I've already brought prior factors. تلك الفرقة كلها ولو أنت عض بأصل شجرة حتى يدركك الموت وأنت على ذلك. Okay? Then after that, what can we bring? We can bring. Now, the ijma'at, okay? The Salaf obviously have ijma' on this, but I'll mention to you even some of the fuqaha and the muhaddithin. Okay, not all of them are muhaddithin. Imam Baghawi, muhaddithin, from the muhaddithin, okay? Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la, hatta Imam al-Ghazali. What was Ghazali?
Sufi.
He Ash'ari and Sufi. He's the one who brought Ash'ari and Sufism together, yeah? So he was one Ash'ari. Let's look at what an Ash'ari himself said. He said, طريق السلف, the path of the Salaf. اختلفت في إظهار البغض مع أهل المعاصي. Differed with regards to how they would show their hatred towards the people of sins. وكلهم, but all of them, اتفقوا, all unanimously agreed, على إظهار البغض, with regards to showing enmity and hatred towards the للظلمة, the oppressors, والمبتدعة, the people of innovation. So now here we have what? We have an imam who's not even a Salafi, telling you, by the way, this is what the Salafis agreed. This is what the Salaf, this is what the Salaf agreed. This is what the Sahaba agreed. Sahaba said, because you know these people, they used to say, they used to believe, طريقة السلف أسلم, the path of the Salaf is safe, وطريقة الخلف أعلم, but the path of those who came after is more knowledgeable. They used to believe that.
Even today, the different misguided sects, they won't unite. It's only the Ikhwanis, really and truly, who unite.
Who want to. Does that make sense?
I know I've completely just lost my character. But I was just, I'm tired.
The truth has come out.
We're standing up.
Look, let's take some of the examples of the Salaf, what they said.
Hour and a half.
إذا رجعت إليهم. No, so look what Ibn Umar, the
I'm not even
Prophet's
pretend
companions.
anymore.
Look what Ibn Umar's companion said. He said when he was told about the people of Qadr, who play around with the Qadr, he said, إذا رجعت إليهم, if you go back to them, فقول لهم, people who deviate on the issue of Qadr. He said, إن Ibn Umar, that verily Ibn Umar, he says to you, يقول لكم إنه منكم بريء, he's free from you, وأنتم منه براء, and you are what? You are free from him. He's cutting away from them. Okay? Look at Abdullah ibn Saud, another companion of the Prophet, what he said. He said, إياكم وما يحدث الناس من البدعة. He said, stay away from them. And that which the people invent with regards to innovation. فإن الدين لا يذهب من القلوب بمرة. Because the deen doesn't vanish from the heart in one go. ولكن الشيطان يحدث له بدعا. Rather, what shaitan does is, he brings about for them innovation. Does that make sense? Okay, we have, for example, look at this statement by Al-Fudhool ibn Iyadh. Look at the statement by Al-Fudhool ibn Iyadh. He said, من جلس مع صاحب بدعة فاحذروه. Forget the path of innovation. This is where the Salaf were. Fudhool ibn Iyadh, people love to mention his quotes. Oh, nice, heart-softening quotes. Why not mention this quote? He said, "Man jalasa ma'a sahibi bid'ah fahdharuhu." Anyone who sits with the person of innovation, stay away from him. Pay attention. He didn't say stay away from the person of innovation. He said stay away from even the one who sits with the person of innovation. Okay? He said whoever sits with him, he's not been given wisdom. Okay? He said, and what he said, and it's beloved to me. وَأَحَبُّ أَن يَكُونَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ صَاحِبِ بِدْعَةٍ. And it's beloved to me that there be between me and a person of innovation a fortress. Min hadid, made out of what? Iron. And he said, akal. He said, akal. عند اليهودي, to eat with the person who's a Jew. والنصراني, and the person who's a Christian. أحب إلي من من آكل عند اليهودي, the one who eats with a Jew. والنصراني, or a Christian. He said, أحب إلي ممن آكل عند صاحبي بدعة. That person is more beloved to me than the one who sits with a person of innovation. Pay attention. He's not saying sit with the Christians or the Jews. He's not saying that. No, don't misunderstand. That's bad. But he's saying sitting with the person of innovation is worse. You know why? Because at least the person who's a Christian or Jew, you know what he's clearly on. You know what he's clearly on. With the person of innovation, you don't know who confuse you. And there he wasn't talking about the one who's a person of innovation. He was talking about the one who sits with them. Abdullah ibn Mubarak said, وَإِيَّاكَ أَن تُجَالِسَ صَاحِبِ بِدْعَةٍ. Be warned of sitting with the people of innovation. Okay? Sufyan al-Thawri has got similar statements. Okay? Ibn Tawus, Yunus ibn Ubaid, he said, لا تجالس سلطانا. Do not sit with the rulers. Don't sit with the leaders. Yes, that's the position of the Salaf and the ones who follow the path of the Salaf. ولا صاحب بدعة. And don't also sit with the people of innovation. Yahya ibn Abi Kathir, he said, إذا لقيت صاحب بدعة في طريق. If you see a passive innovation on a path, then take the other path. Okay? Ibrahim ibn Maysara said that anyone who goes to a passive innovation or sits with a passive innovation, what has he done? He said, فَقَدْ أَعَانَ عَلَى هَدْمِ الإسلام. He has aided in the destruction of Islam. وعبدالله ibn Umar السرخسي, he said, هَجَرُوا ibn Mubarak. Ibn Mubarak boycotted him. Why? مدة, for a period of time. Why? لما آكل عند صاحب بدعة. When he ate food with a person of innovation. He just sat and ate food with a person of innovation. And what did he do? He boycotted him. Okay? So many I can bring to you. Hassan al-Basri said, لا تجالسوا أهل الأهواء ولا تجادلهم. Don't sit with people of innovation. Don't even speak with them. Don't even debate with them. He said, ولا تسمعوا منهم. Don't even listen from them. Okay? You have عن أبي قلابة. What did he say? He said, ولا تمكن أهل الأهواء ولا تمكن. عفوا. He said, don't strengthen أهل الأهواء, the people of innovation, desires, من سمعك, from your hearing. By you listening to them, you're strengthening them. You're giving them numbers. You're giving them support. You're giving them followers. He said, don't strengthen them. These are dangerous people, okay? Imam Malik said, don't say salam to people of innovation, okay? Don't say salam to people of innovation. Abu Bakr, I'm missing so many hadith out, wallahi. I tried to keep it fast. Just there were some that I highlighted. I missed out so many statements from the Sahaba, so many statements from the Salaf al-Salih. Wallahi, one evidence is enough for a person if... I don't know what to say, man.
What can I say? I'm with you. I was with you a long time ago. You know what it is? I think we need to switch up these topics. We need to get some topics where the opposing side actually has some substance, where I can actually put forward some serious arguments. That the last one, the Mawlid one, now this. It's like it's very hard to argue such a silly argument. That's so clearly against the text. It's just like...
It's like Allah said, إِذَا جَاءَ الْحَقِّ. When the truth comes. إِذَا جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not even in character anymore. So guys, like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace. And comment below. What did you learn? Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'ad, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of Roast Dawahman. Dawahman, why are you wearing the same thobe as last episode?
Why are you wearing the same thobe as last episode?
I'm not. I got changed.
Guys, this right here is a Big Mac. Do you have any idea how much McDonald's spends every year on their advertisement? They spend $450 million. You know why? Because this haram burger is valuable to them.
Now, on the flip side, when it comes to promoting a da'wah project, how much do you think da'wah organizations' budget is? And I'm talking about organizations that don't compromise their da'wah. They keep it 100% Qur'an Sunnah without doing anything dodgy. Our budgets are nowhere near close. Now, the kuffar don't feel shy to put their money behind what they believe in because they value it. But we know for definite that they don't value their burgers and their haram meat more than we value the book of Allah. Then why is it that we become so tight-fisted when it comes to spending money on La ilaha illallah? You see, it's embarrassing that you will struggle to find a house on planet Earth that doesn't know about McDonald's and doesn't know about the Big Mac. Yet, there are houses that don't know about La ilaha illallah. That's an embarrassment. For that reason, brothers and sisters, I'm going to ask you to get involved in an investment that's going to benefit you in your life and the next life. And that is to support our social media da'wah project. You're going to struggle. And this is respectfully a challenge. You'll struggle to find a da'wah organization that's got as much output as us. I mean, look at our productivity and look at our reach. We're the closest thing that you're going to get to a mainstream, uncompromised, fully 100% classical, pure understanding of the deen on social media in the West. If you find someone better than us, if you find someone that's doing it better than us and bigger than us, go support them. It's on you to go support them. But if not, then brothers and sisters, we're doing a job for you. I don't know about you, but I gave my life to this cause. I gave my life to it. Kuffar can put 100% in behind what? Haram food. And we can't do that behind what? The speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without any further ado, brothers and sisters, donate at the link below. And let's get La ilaha illallah spreading around the world. Peace.